everybody. This is Captain Dennis with SQUALUSMarine.com. We're back at it again with our Meet the Captains campaign to promote local charter boats and charter boats out of town. We're here with Captain Dana Hunt of the Hunt's Dive Center in Clayton, New York. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about his operation and his dive boat. And take it away, Dana.
All right. My name is Dana Hunt. I've been captaining the St. Lawrence Alligator now for about 5 years. I started out diving around when I was 18, graduated high school, around 2004, 2005. And from then, you know, it was a family business, and I just kind of grew into being around more. And then when the spot came around where I could do something, you know, this was it, run the boat. I do run the shop sometimes, but the boat is really where I've been at.
And what can you tell us about the St. Lawrence Alligator?
It's a 28-foot Munson high-speed landing craft. It has two 200 horsepower four-stroke Yamaha outboards on it. It gets up and goes pretty good. I have 2 sets of wheels I put on it, depending on the duties it's elected to do. It not only serves as a charter boat, but it's a working boat too. We do surf supply diving off it as needed. So depending on what we're doing with it, you know, it may, you know, have a little faster wheels on it and give you a little extra surprise. And
when you say high speed, how fast is high speed?
I've had it 45 on the river on a nice day.
Wow.
You know, it's a V-hull landing craft, so I mean, I'm not ripping 40 miles an hour down rough water. You got to have good conditions, but it's still pretty fun. You know, pretty fun boat drive.
Sounds like it. What are some of the things that you require of divers? You know, do you allow solo divers? Do you allow, you know, do you rent out the whole boat, or charter out the whole boat? Or is it kind of like walk-ons? I guess they go through the shop or something like that. Everybody's kind of got different options.
Yeah, so I try to get people to come up with a buddy if they want to go out and dive. I think that makes the most sense. Somebody you're comfortable with, especially if it's their first time, they're new to the area. Mm-hmm. But if I have a charter going out that day, and I have a 2-person minimum, but if I already have a charter going out, then walk-ons are welcome. You know, an additional person, as long as everybody is on the same page with skill level, and we're not going to a site that just doesn't allow one diver to do a fun dive. You know, I'm not trying to make anybody's bad day doing this, so I want everybody to agree if we're going to go somewhere, or I'll just, you know, politely suggest that we either change the plan or, you know, amend it somehow that everybody interested can go.
And are you a 6-pack?
Yeah, we're a 6-pack. It's a pretty wide open boat in the front. I mean, you could put a card table on the front of it and play cards and still walk all around it. It's a pretty good area. When we pull to the dive site, the bow drops down and gives you about another 4.5 foot of real estate up front towards the water. And I drop it right down in the water, so you just giant type right off, and your feet are already wet. Right, it works pretty good.
What are some of the wrecks that you guys do in the river?
We do the Keystorm, the America, and the Vickery as like the 3 main recreational dives. The Jodrey is a strictly technical dive, but the other 3 are commonly used by, and this is a unique situation for me, other instructors that come up through me. Mm-hmm. You know, they bring groups up a lot of times from New York City when the water is not so good down there. So the other 3, those main recreational dives, are used by a lot of technical divers as workup dives. So I'll get guys to come up and they'll do the Vickery and the Keystorm for 2 days or a day and a half, and then their last dives will be like the Jodrey as they're earning their Trimax certification or extended range if it's appropriate for, of course, you know, on the Jodrey, which starts at about 180.
So it's fair to say that you can provide services to, like, you know, just starting out divers and all the way up to tech.
Absolutely. We service the entry-level diver. We do training in-house. I also have a number of independent instructors who I'm kind of like, I want to say friends with, mm-hmm. who we have services through the shop through them. If you want a course that we don't offer, I can definitely help you out if you want to come up and take it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that involves the boat for, you know, your more advanced diving. So we kind of service
some of the wrecks that you were discussing. What are like the ballpark depths for those?
The Keystorm is a great entry-level wreck. It starts at about 30 feet, goes down to 110, 112. And with that wreck, you can keep open water divers above 60 feet, and it's really nice to have a dive professional with them. But you can keep everybody above 60 feet, and they can see the pilot house. They can get to some of the cargo holds of the ship, and they can see all around basically one half of the ship. And it's a Keystorm in particular is a 256-foot long bituminous coal carrier that sank, hit a shoal, and the shoal we can drive over with a boat no problem, but a freighter couldn't. And so that's where we moor, and it's got a great vantage point. The other wrecks are the America is a drilling and blasting barge, and that exploded and flipped over and sank in about 70 feet of water. Some of these have unique features, like the America is underneath the shipping channel, so it's not a direct ascent to the surface. Even though it's 70 feet, you can't come up to the surface there. It's not a particularly challenging dive, but once you are committed to that dive, you have to make sure you make it back to the line out of the channal. So,
and the Jodrey, what are the depths on the Jodrey?
Jodrey starts at about 180, has maximum depth around 230, 240, I believe, down in the deepest part. And then, out in the stern, it goes back up to about 150 feet. But it's 640 feet long, so most people, and it's right in the American Narrows. It's really fast current right there.
When you say fast current, what are you talking like?
2 or 3 knots is pretty easy. Pretty easy to attain for current, and it doesn't sound like a lot to say 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah.
But I promise you that when you pop your head over the handrail and you have 2 knots hitting you in the goggles, you're gonna be like, okay, this is serious.
Yeah, two. That's a sporty current. The other question is, people who are hearing about St. Lawrence being up there, kind of so hot, in the northern climates for most folks. What are some of the conditions, like the temperatures and visibility, marine life, things like that people can expect to see or encounter?
I would start out. I would say that for most of the diving and recreational can be done in a wetsuit without a problem. 65 to 75 degree wet water from the beginning of the season, sometimes slightly over 75 by the end of the season. But the preseason and the postseason, I'd say pre and post, but that's based on your summer vacation schedules, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the dry suit times. Mostly you see a lot more dry suits then. But I see a fair share of dry suits, diving through the summer. And I got guys diving dry in 70-degree water, and I also have them diving wet in 40-degree. I've seen them both. So it caters to everybody's flavor. And when you talk about the conditions, anybody can find the right way to dive here.
And what are you looking at for visibility ballpark?
Like right now, if you went diving today and it was nice and sunny during the day, you would probably have around 50 to 75 feet of visibility. And on more calm days, you may have up to 100 feet before the seasonal algae starts, accumulating. Yep. But during the summer, 25 feet is doing pretty good. It can get less around the end of August, when the water is at its warmest. You can have a little bit less, but it changes season to season too.
And what some of the marine life? I know we discussed some of the wrecks. What are some of the marine life that people could expect to see down there?
It's kind of docile, really, but you get to see some unique fish. I mean, you might, if you go diving in the evening or overnight, sometimes during the day, you might see a tiger muskie, some larger pike, walleye, freshwater fish that you would see in any other of the Great Lakes. There's sturgeon here. We have some really good size sturgeon, in the area. And I've seen other things myself. I've seen catfish, freshwater drum, or people call them sheep's head. But, that's kind of the main stuff. You see some other stuff like when you're doing shore dives, you'll see mud puppies, or hellbenders, as people call them. And you'll see some really, really large crayfish, that you're like, you sure you're not at Red Lobster? Yeah.
And just from the technical side of things, a lot of guys ask, what kind of ladder do you have?
The boat is equipped with a Christmas tree ladder that I stow on top of the wheelhouse. And then before we do our dive briefing on site, I do one before we leave the dock, and then get one on site real quick. And I put the ladder in, I explain the usage of the ladder. And you can walk up with your fins on, most of your more common technical shorter fins have no problem walking up. But I've seen people walk up the ladder with some pretty good size, length fins.
Like free diving
And
type of fins?
yeah, if you're good at it, you're good at it.
Couple other things. What would you say to somebody who's apprehensive about diving on a charter boat? And can you speak to some of the benefits that you may have seen, from people who've dove with you on a regular basis? I mean, I'm always an advocate for diving off of charter boats because I find it that you learn a lot from the people that you meet on those boats. You make a lot of good friendships as well.
Yeah, I've had some, to speak to that, I've had some people come up to the area, some really high profile individuals who very easily could have brought their own equipment up here or rented a much larger boat than I could dream of and just taking that out diving, but they preferred the advice. They preferred the company and the knowledge of a local captain, so we were able to fill that role. So that's the benefit of going with a charter operation is I have a lot more dives and a lot more visits with, literally dozens of people a day on this wreck than many other people who even dive it just a few times a year. So I have a lot of experience, so to speak, saying, well, I've seen people make this mistake. You know, Not only have I seen one person make that mistake, but I've seen a lot of people make a mistake. So I can kind of spot things before they happen. And that's not limited to me. That's limited to anybody with that kind of experience. You start to kind of see the future when you see a diver gear up and their stuff's flying all over. You're like, okay, we're gonna give this guy a little extra attention. So that's the beautiful thing about a charter operation.
You kind of know what to look for. I mean, you've seen probably all of it. So, and what's the best way if people wanted to take advantage of diving with you? What would be the best way for them to contact you? I mean, we're going to have a lot of stuff linked on the website, but is it primarily, telephone or email? What works best for you?
I have a couple of really good avenues. The best avenue during the season is to call the shop, which is 315-686-1070.
Mhm.
And we have a teleprompt service there, and you can choose the captain or the shop or whoever you want to talk to. That'll get you someone no matter what. Also, the email, we have charters.huntsdiveshop@gmail.com. That's a really good avenue to contact us. We have a Facebook page for Hunts Dive Shop, and since the dive charter is part of the dive shop, you're able to reach the same services going through the dive shop. And the boat is actually uh, the Patty dive charter for the dive shop stuff. It's linked that way for the dive center.
Okay. And I just, I'd like to, one other question. What are the price ranges? I mean, is it by the boat? Is it by the dive? I heard you said something about there's like a two diver minimum to go out. I was just kind of trying just so people had an idea of what they're looking at.
Sure. So it's $80 a person for the half a day, which is just 2 tank dives. And I say half a day, but it's usually like if we get on the water by 8 o'clock and we're back by 12:30, usually definitely before 1 with 2 dives. I don't make it a point to limit someone's bottom time based on that, but a little bit of diligence there goes a long ways, especially if I have a second operation a day. But so $80 for that morning dive. Same thing for the afternoon. Sometimes I get a group they can't make a morning, so my morning might be empty, and then we go out in the afternoon,
Hmm.
fill that time slot.
Right.
But if you do a 3 tank dive, it's 120, and then we do Keystone American, the Victory, or you're always welcome to double dip anything, or change it up, so to speak. And I used to offer a single tank dive, and I still would honor it if someone wanted to do it. But I think by the time you get out in the water, you're ready to do 2 dives. You've
Right.
made it all this way.
Yeah. You carry all that stuff. You want to get your time in.
Yeah.
So, anything you'd like to say in closing to anybody out there in regards to your operation?
Well, I think that if you haven't dove in fresh water before, I think it has a lot of value to it. You know, People are used to diving like off the coast of New Jersey or in down the city, and they're used to really poor visibility and bad currents, or they're used to diving in places where they drop you off the boat and then you surface and everybody has to meet at the same time, hopefully, right?
Mhm.
Down in some of the warmer climates, I know they don't really have a mooring. So the benefit of us in this region is all of our wrecks have moorings. We do drift dives, but all the wrecks that I'll take anybody on that want to go to, we have a mooring for it. You go down the line, you come up the line, we meet there. It's I don't want to oversell it, make it too easy, but it's relatively simple diving, and it's a great place to gain experience. Like I said, those three main wrecks are just a spot where people like to work up dives to go to bigger places. So.
Well, I am a fan of Rex. So, I wanted to say thanks for participating in our campaign. And, hopefully things start to mellow out outside in the world. We'd like
Yeah.
to take a ride up there and kind of see some of these wrecks you're talking about. So, again, thanks for participating with us. And we look forward to seeing you pretty soon.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dennis.
Yep. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.